All right, today we're jumping into a really powerful personal story. It's from 1961, East Berlin, and it pulls back the curtain on the chilling reality of life under the Stasi, East Germany's infamous secret police.
So this quote comes from a guy named Hans Hoffmann. And on the surface, he seems like a man who really believes in justice. But, and this is a big but, his wife, Rebecca, is about to find out that his principles, yeah, they were a complete, carefully constructed lie. Okay, let's dive in.
So let's set the scene. Our story kicks off on a rainy Monday morning in a Berlin that's literally split in two. And right below the surface, a huge national crisis is just simmering away. Now, Rebecca, she'd been married to Hans for about a year, and she really loved him. I mean, he seemed perfect, confident, handsome, and he even appeared to share her own skepticism about the government. But there were these little things, secretive behavior, sudden flashes of anger, these odd phone calls, and mysterious weekend meetings. All these little inconsistencies were starting to create some serious cracks in her trust. And you gotta understand, this very personal drama, it's all happening against the backdrop of this huge national crisis. We're talking about a serious brain drain. East Germany was just hemorrhaging its best and brightest. Think about it. Doctors, engineers, teachers, they were all fleeing to the West. The situation was so bad that at Rebecca's school alone, half the teachers were already gone. And it wasn't just about freedom, right? The money was a huge, huge deal. I mean, look at this. As a teacher, you could make 300 more marks a month, which was a ton of money back then, just by moving across the city to West Berlin. So you get way more money and you get your freedom. It's kind of a no-brainer for a lot of people. So Rebecca's just spinning out, right? She finally confides in her friend, Bernd, and lays it all out. The phone calls where someone just hangs up, the torn-up notes she sees him flush down the toilet, the sudden weekend meetings, all the time he spends writing stuff he refuses to let her see. And when you put it all together, well, to them, the conclusion was as painful as it was obvious. Hans had to be having an affair. Okay, so she thinks her biggest problem is a cheating husband. But what she's about to face is going to make that look like child's play. Her marital problems are about to be completely steamrolled by a threat that is just so much more terrifying. Picture this. She's at school, it's her mid-afternoon break, and she finds this official-looking letter in her little mailbox, her pigeonhole. The second she reads the letterhead, Ministry for State Security, the coffee cup just slips right out of her hand and shatters all over the floor. Right. Ministry for State Security. That was the official name, the fancy title. But everyone, and I mean everyone, knew it by its other name, the Stasi. And getting a letter from them, a summons? That was literally the stuff of nightmares, the kind of thing you'd only whisper about, hoping it would never, ever happen to you. Instantly, her mind is just racing. What did I do? What could it possibly be? Is it that illegal copy of George Orwell's Animal Farm I have hidden away? Is it because of my family's politics? She has no clue. But one thing's for sure, you do not ignore a summons from the Stasi. Her appointment was for 5 p.m. that same day. So she gets there to this ugly new Stasi headquarters, just this big concrete monster of a building in the rain. And as she walks into this small, bare room, you can just imagine that knot of fear tightening in her stomach with every single step. But the guy who comes in to interrogate her, a Sergeant Schultz, is not at all what she was expecting. He's young, maybe 25 at most, and he seems almost comically unprepared. He's fumbling with his files, he doesn't even have her address right. It's weird. And then comes the accusation. And it is just absurd. He accuses her of treason. Why? Because she used a leaflet for American soldiers to improvise an English lesson. A lesson she was only teaching because, remember, all the real English teachers had already fled to the West. And just when she thinks it can't get any weirder, it does. After calling her a spy, Schultz completely changes gears and tries to recruit her to be a Stasi informant, to spy on her own school. And that's the light bulb moment for Rebecca. She realizes this guy must have the wrong person. He's investigated the wrong Rebecca Hoffmann. And for a second, she feels this wave of relief. It looks like she might actually get out of this whole mess. So she's being escorted out, feeling like she just dodged a massive bullet. But what she doesn't know is that her entire world is about to be absolutely destroyed. As they're walking down this corridor, she glances over towards the elevators. And there, standing with a group of other Stasi men, laughing and talking, looking totally comfortable, is a man she recognizes instantly. It's her husband, Hans. I mean, her brain just can't process it. What is he doing here? Is he being interrogated too? But no, he looks completely at home, like he belongs there. And then she hears it. Another officer speaks to him, but he addresses him with a military rank. And in that exact moment, Hans looks up and sees her. And his face, it's like a movie. You see confusion, then pure shock, then shame. And then there's no mistaking it, guilt. And right there, in that ugly yellow corridor, her two greatest fears, her husband's betrayal and the terrifying Stasi, they don't just meet, they violently crash into each other.
Hans just loses it. He walks over and punches the young sergeant right in the face, and then he spits out the truth. Those secretive calls, the flushed notes, it was never another woman. No, it was so much worse. Her husband, the man she loved, was a Stasi lieutenant, and his assignment for the last 2 years? Her. She was his target.
The bus ride home is just a blur. She's completely numb, but slowly that shock starts to curdle, turning into this white-hot rage as she replays the last 2 years of her life, a life that she now realizes was a complete and utter sham. I mean, just think about the sheer depth of this deception. Every single thing they shared, every political opinion he agreed with, every private joke, every intimate moment, it was all a lie, all part of his undercover work. The man she married, the man she fell in love with, he literally never existed. So you can imagine what happens when Hans actually has the nerve to show up at their apartment later. Rebecca's rage just explodes. In front of the whole street, she destroys the one thing he'd spent their entire year of marriage meticulously working on, a perfect symbol for the life of lies he had built. And Hans's reaction? It isn't a heartbroken husband, not at all. It's a cold, vengeful Stasi officer. And his final threat just hangs there, leaving us with this really chilling question, right? In a state built entirely on secrets and surveillance, what is the true cost of betrayal? This story shows, in the most brutal way, how such a regime can twist the most intimate human connections into weapons of the state, destroying lives from the inside out.